good bird though. She's absolutely lovely. She's just a little bit shyer than the rest. Okay, very common bird to see, and of course a beautiful member of the red-tailed hawk, found all across North America. As I said, they are found all across the two continents. You can also find them across Canada, from the top down to the bottom and left to right. You can find them coast to coast. You can also find red-tailed hawks down throughout the states, down throughout Mexico, and down throughout Central America. You can even find red-tailed hawks regularly down as far as Jamaica. Pretty widespread bird across the continent. And you can even find them going down as far as South America. Very, very widespread bird in this side of the world. Now, they are very common. As I did mention, they are pretty easy to see. Has anyone ever seen a red-tailed hawk in the wild before? Who's ever seen a red-tailed hawk in the wild before? Put your hand up really nice and tall. All right, how about this? Now, who's ever been driving down the highway, saw a hawk or a bird of prey, but they couldn't really identify. They didn't really know what they were seeing. Anyone ever seen one of those? Big brown bird, big white chest. Anyone ever seen one? All right, well, if you've ever seen one of those, you have seen the red-tailed hawk. They're very common along the highways, and in fact, make up about 90% of the birds of prey you will see along the highway. So, keep your eyes peeled when you're driving along, and you might start seeing red-tailed hawks everywhere you go. Really, really cool bird of prey. Now, something else that's cool about them is red-tailed hawks are what we call generalists. And what that means is they eat everything. It doesn't matter what it is. Remember that around 20 to 30 years ago, bald eagles were not doing well. They were dying off. We were losing them left, right, and center. And in fact, in Southern Ontario, we lost them. Do you guys know where Southern Ontario is? Where's Southern Ontario? Yeah. Here, right here. We live in Southern Ontario right now. There were, in the 1980s, 1970s, there were a grand total of 0 bald eagles in Southern Ontario. They were gone completely. Now, we were pretty sure in a lot of places they were going to follow suit. The reason they were they were dying off so much is because the use of a chemical called DDT. DDT was a pesticide. We put it on our crops to keep them safe from bugs, and it worked. But it also started poisoning our water supplies, poisoning our fish, and poisoning every animal that depended on fish, these birds included. Now, it made them calcium deficient. They couldn't make a lot of calcium. What is calcium good for? What do you use calcium for? Yeah, their bones, absolutely. But for birds, there's something just as important that they use calcium for. Does anyone want to tell me? Yeah, this guy right here. Eggshells, absolutely. Eggs are almost pure calcium. If they don't have enough calcium to keep strong bones, do you think they have enough calcium to lay a strong egg? No. So, they would lay an egg, and it would be very thin. The mother would sit on it to keep it warm, and she would accidentally crush it under her own weight. This was decimating populations across Canada. And like I said, in many places, we were pretty sure we were never going to see them again. Now, a lot of groups are trying to solve this, but we weren't getting anywhere until one main group joined in, and that group was you guys. It was the public, and once everyone found out what was happening, we finally started to see the changes we needed, and we finally started to see the comeback that these birds needed. And in fact, they've made such an amazing comeback that in Southern Ontario this year, there are over 71 active volunteer faster, and of course, has its pack as well. So they have no problem catching it. That is pretty cool. Now, when they do hunt birds of prey, well, they like to make sure they're going to catch their food. They want to ensure that they have as high a chance of catching their food as possible. So, first of all, these ones hunt in packs, and that increases their chance. But the next thing they do is they ambush their prey. They like to surprise it. They don't like to give it a fair chance. They will take it by surprise when it's least expecting it. So, like I said, you'll often see birds of prey on nice tall perches like trees or telephone poles. But the Harris hawk lives in the desert. So, do you think there's many trees in the deserts of the United States? No. Do you think there's many telephone poles? No. Do you think there's many houses? No. So, if there's none of that stuff, what do you think a Harris hawk is going to sit on to get nice and high above his crowd, or above his prey? A cactus. Would you sit on a cactus? No. That would be a really bad idea, right? Cactuses are spiky, but you know what? You're absolutely right. The Harris hawk loves to sit right on top of cactus. Now, That is not an easy thing to do. Cactuses have little sharp pins all over them. Now, the cool thing about a hair sock is, you might have noticed, he has very long talons. His talons are very, very long. Now, what he can actually do is sit on the tips of his talons and never touch the pad of his foot onto a cactus. So he can sit right on his toenails and never touch the spiky part of the cactus, and that is how they do it. But here's the thing, sometimes they live in really big groups, around 7, 8, 9, even 10 will live all together. Now cactuses don't always have a reason. She dances because she has very big eyes. Does that make sense to anybody? She dances because she has big eyes? No? Alright, well, we'll see if I can make it make a bit more sense. She does have very big eyes. If you get to have a look at her eyes, they're absolutely huge. In fact, they are bigger than human eyes. Now, her eyes are built so that she can see in the dark. She hunts in low light periods, which means she needs the bigger eyes so she can let in more light. Now, that is pretty helpful, but because her eyes are so big, they actually don't fit in her head. Her eyeballs stick out of her socket by a lot, so she can't move them. They are stuck looking exactly straight ahead. She cannot move them side to side, just like we can. You guys want to do an experiment? Okay, here's what I need everybody to do. I want you to take your finger and put it out in front of you, okay? So take your finger and do this. All right, now, without moving your head, keep your head in the same spot and move your finger around and follow it with your eyes. You can follow it without moving your head because you can move your eyes. She can't do that. So, we have a couple of advantages on her, and one of those advantages is an advanced sense of depth perception. We can tell about how far away something is from us just by looking at it. Diane can't do that. If she wants to figure out about how far away something is from her, she's got to get a couple different angles on whatever she is looking at. And that is why she is a dancing owl. So, if I say she dances because she has big eyes, does that make a bit more sense now? Yeah. Alright. Now, she is a pretty cool hunter. She's an absolutely phenomenal hunter. Great horned owls are super predators in the truest sense of the word. And they take prey a lot bigger than them. One of the reasons they can do that is because in terms of pound-to-pound ratio, you might just be looking at one of the strongest predators in North America. So, we're going to do an experiment, okay? Do you guys want to do an experiment again? Okay, here's what I need everybody to do. I need you to put your weaker hand out in front of you. So if you're left-handed, put your right hand out, and if you're right-handed, put your left hand out, okay?
You're so far behind.
Now take your strong hand. Grab hold of your wrist. Now here's the important part, okay? Everybody ready? Squeeze your wrist as tight as you can. I don't believe you guys. Are you actually squeezing your wrist as tight as you can? I don't know. I feel like if you did, it might, hurt a little bit, and you might make some sound. I'm not hearing anything. So, if you guys don't want to squeeze your own wrist, here's what we're going to do. Everybody let go of their wrist and grab their neighbor's wrist. Turn to the person beside you, even if you don't know them. This is a great way to make friends. I've never tried it, but I assume it is. Okay. Now, once you have your neighbor's wrist, squeeze their wrist as tight as you can. That sounds better. I'm hearing a lot more owls and grunts and sounds that people are in discomfort. That is what we're looking for, guys. All right. Well done, everybody. You can let go of the wrists. Well done. Now, that probably wasn't very comfortable, but be thankful that it wasn't Diane.